So my 2 tips for this kind of knitting are highlighter tape. Now this I got when I was a reading teacher, and so I have a bunch of it. But I think that it's also available, there's highlighter tape that's available like on Knit Picks and places like that, that are for knitters. It's the same stuff. This is from Really Good Stuff, and it's just called highlighter tape. Comes in all different colors, and it works kind of like a Post-it note. You can keep lifting it off and putting it back on. Lift off, pull it back, put it back on. And at some point it does lose its effectiveness, and then you just take another bit. Because here's the chart. So this is the chart that I'm trying to do. And you know, once you get up like 2 rows, it's like, oh, which row am I on, right? It's really, really hard to figure that out. So instead, you put your highlighter tape. And I put my highlighter tape on the row, you know, so it's showing right above the tape is where I'm working, okay? And I made a deal with myself that when I ended for the day, I was gonna leave it at the place where I stopped. I mean, I was gonna leave it at the one that I just finished, so that I know that I have not moved it forward ahead. When I start to knit today, I will move this forward 1, because I know that that's this one this row that it's showing me is the one that I just finished. So that's my deal to myself. You could have the other deal. The other deal would be when I finish the row, I'm gonna move the tape, and then whenever I pick it back up again, that's where I am. So those are the 2 rules that you can have. Helen is asking me about my cowl. My cousin made this for me out of a yarn that I used to have, which is discontinued and disconnected. So I don't know exactly what pattern it is. It's kind of like a diagonal rib. And because I did dye that, but it's a discontinued yarn. It's pretty though, isn't it? I like it. My second tip, the other thing about this is that I can see each different row, right? But as I'm moving the tape, I'm going, how do I know? Because I just removed the tape. So how do I know what row it was that I just did when I'm putting it back down? So, and this is not to you know, disrespect the designer, not at all. My tip really is do what you need to do with the pattern to make it work for you. If they didn't include that, that's okay. They didn't think that you needed it. But if you need it to, you know, to really understand where you are in the pattern, or to understand where you're going in the pattern, by all means, you really, really need to do that for yourself. So as I was moving this tape and I'm getting farther up into the pattern, and I took it off, and then I'm like, oh wait, which one was that? Right? You know what I'm saying. You guys have been there, right? So this is what I did. And I'm going to put this really close. I don't know if it's even going to be, you will be able to see it. So I now am numbering the rows. So you can see I'm starting at the next one that I'm at, which is where I'm going to be changing my background from the light orange to the black. So I put the one there, but that doesn't really help me all the way. So I also put the one on the other side over here so that they match. Now, also on this pattern, you have this hole here. That's where your thumb gusset goes. And here's your thumb gusset. Here's your stitches for your gusset, right? So I also numbered those. I just numbered those on the one side. I may go back and do the other. But I numbered those so because I'm going to have to remember when I get to that row over here, then I'm going to have to jump to this chart and then go to this at the end. You see what I'm saying? So that's my tip. Do what you need to do to make sure that you can keep on track with where you are, and so that it makes it easier for you to do. Because, we're all at different levels, right? And, a lot of times, I think knitting patterns, they're kind of like having to read a different language. And each designer kind of has their own language. It's not like there's anything really specific. There are a bunch of different ways to say the same thing. And so sometimes you have to read it a few times. Maybe you have to rewrite it in your own words. I know some people who have bought the conflagration kit from me. Actually, I'm gonna say it's one person. She doesn't like reading charts, and that was all charted. And so she took the chart and she put it in an Excel spreadsheet. And that made all the difference to her because she could read straight across in the Excel spreadsheet, and it made sense in her mind. And so even though the designer didn't think to do that, you can do that for yourself. And even though the designer didn't think to make this bigger, I know why she didn't. She didn't because she was trying to use one skein, and she wanted to have the hat and a cowl out of one skein. So you got a little teeny hat and a little teeny cowl. But for me, I wanted to have a more substantial hat, and I can fix that. And if it had been you and you didn't have any more of that same yarn, well, by gosh, you could make this out of a different contrasting color, right? You could make the brim out of a variegated, out of a different contrasting color. It'd be so cute. It could be school colors like gray and blue, or it could be like a sock monkey, blue and red. I mean, gray and red, right? So there's lots of different ways. We are the masters of our creativity, right? And so we need to do what it takes for us to be happy, to be calm and not stressed out about a pattern. And there are ways to do that. So I think that is basically all I have to say today. If you're interested in this kit, on my blog, I did put in a link to her website, because it's the name is, there's the other little piece of paper. So it's RIIHIVILLA. And she has really, really fun kind of classic Finnish mittens, all different colors. If you like naturally colored sheep, she's got great design. She has the same design that I'm making, only in the natural colors. So different, like several different grays and blacks and whites. It's striking as well. My friend bought that one, and she's gonna make that one when she sees how cute mine is becoming. Yeah, Helen says sometimes the knitters forget to be creative, right? Yeah, because you're just following somebody else's pattern, but you picked that pattern to do, and you pick that yarn that you're making it with. So you are the creative person. So don't ever forget that, because I think sometimes we think of ourselves more as technicians rather than artists. But you're putting your own sense of color in there. You're putting your own sensibility, your own creativity is going in there. So don't ever forget that. You can always change things. It's kind of like cooking. I don't usually follow a recipe either. I'll taste it. Oh, this needs, you know, I'd like this with some garlic in it, or this really needs some Parmesan cheese, or I made lentil soup today, which was really good, but it's like, it needs like some zing. So like on mine, because I like spicy things, you know, I put in some sriracha. Nobody's saying you can't, right? You need to, you know, be creative, right?